they do it with the messages. So we're live on YouTube. Now we're going to go live on Facebook. All right, we should be live everywhere. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. Today, we're not really going to talk about a health-related subject, but indirectly, it has to do with health. We're going to talk about how we love our pets and how they actually, fit in our lives. And we have a special guest with us, Willem van Dijk. He is a local veterinarian. So welcome, Willem.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me here, Mike. Appreciate it.
No problem. So before we get started, I'm going to ask Willem to tell a little bit more about himself because just like me, he does have a little accent.
I know. And back in Europe, Mike, we were basically our neighbors. So probably as you guys know, Mike is from Belgium. I'm from Holland. That's probably 1/3 of Florida, so a small country, but a lot of people, 17 million. All squeezed together.
So the Netherlands, 17 million. We're about 11 million, I think, in Belgium.
Yeah. I think your guys are a little bit smaller, but it's a lot of people. And yeah, I was 36 when I finally moved here to the United States. So I have my accent. I mean, my kids were younger.
So when did you move here?
So we came in 2005. We came to the United States. I was basically, if we go back, I was roughly 20 when I went to vet school. Graduated 8-9 years later. Then I worked in a big clinic
in the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands. It was one of the biggest ones they had. 10, 13 doctors in total. And worked there. It was a 24/7 clinic.
Wow.
So we had long shifts. We had 36-hour shifts every week. And in between, you saw just your regular stuff, your surgeries. And then on top of that, you had your night shifts for emergency work.
Yes.
So a great tool for me to start. But after 6 years,
that's taking its toll. And then you had 2 small children at the time? So they were born in the Netherlands, or?
Correct. Yeah. So we had Tobias and Lisa. They were both born in Holland. They were 2 and 4 when in 2005 we decided we're just gonna move.
So what did you decide? Because I know you had a tough job, 24, work. So you could have gone maybe privately in the Netherlands. So what made you and your family decide to come to the United States?
So main reason, I mean, I love America. I think it's they always told us like, hey, America is a land for opportunities. And when I came here to the United States, like, yeah, this is a land of opportunities. What I like about the United States is that if you work hard, you can do well.
You get rewarded.
Yes, absolutely.
With not too much bureaucracy, like in the Netherlands and Belgium.
Correct. and less tax.
Yes.
Because I mean, I always tell clients like here, it's like, man, it's in Holland, I couldn't even afford to buy a house. Yeah. I mean, taxes are ruthless. I mean, 30, 40, 50% on your euro. So that's a lot of tax you're going to pay.
Yeah.
But besides the business aspect, to me, there was always like, I love to be outside. I love the beach. I love to go outside, do some yard work.
And that's why you choose Florida then?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Orland, close to the beach. This is awesome.
That's great.
And also, I mean, it's more spacious. Holland is so crowded. And I always compare with put a lot of rats in one cage, you're gonna fight. that's not a good thing. So I was like, I want to go somewhere it's a little bit less populated.
Yeah, and you can spend a lot more of your time outside here. That's for sure. And it was good timing then, because when your kids are little, they really don't make friends yet. They're not attached to that. So that was perfect timing.
Yeah, there was definitely one reason. Yeah.
What made you become, or what made you decide, or why did you become a veterinarian in the first place?
It's all from here. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of kids nowadays, they struggle, kind of like, man, they're done with high school, they enroll in a college, and they're like, I still don't know what to do. I see it everywhere. I was fortunate when I was a young kid. I mean, 5 years of age.
You already knew.
I was like, I want to become a vet. Why?
Did you have many pets at home then, I assume?
No, I mean, you got your guinea pigs and your canary pet and things like that. Your simple stuff. We were 3 kids, 3 boys at home. So there was always something going on.
Yeah.
So my parents like, no dog. I mean, we already had 3 dogs running around. So no dog was allowed. But no, I always had that desire, and I brought everything home. I mean, dead or alive. I mean, we got like a graveyard in our backyard. But
Yes.
everything what I found on the street, crippled, whatever, I took
So
it
you wanted to
home.
save it, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very good. All right, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's got to come from the heart. So after all this year, you still love doing it then, I assume?
Yeah. To me, it's right now. I'm 51. Just turned 51 last month.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still love it. I mean, I think you won't survive in this profession as a veterinarian, but also as a technician or a client care coordinator if you don't love the job, because it's a tough job. A lot of people think it's petting and it's cool working with pets, but there's a lot of other things involved which are not always pleasant.
And we'll go over those for sure. What, in your opinion, is the position of pets in American families?
Oh, huge. If you look at studies being done, like, okay, what is the place of pets in families here in the United States? How important are they? More than 80% consider their pets, and doesn't matter if it's a dog, a cat, a guinea pig, a little gecko,
anything.
They consider them as a family member. So the way you and I look to our kids, that's how a lot of Americans look at their pets. So yeah, it's a huge part in the family, and you see it every single time in the clinic. I mean, if something happens,
you think that's bigger here than any other country, or not necessarily?
I think it's everywhere. If I compare, because I only have the comparison Holland and America, I think that we in Holland are a little bit more reserved when it comes to how far we go with doing chemo, doing treatment, save a pet. We draw a line, I think, a little bit sooner.
And here we don't. We treat them like our own brother, sister, mother, son, daughter.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit stronger band, you would think, here then?
I think so. I think it plays a more important part here in life than it does in Holland. And
Interesting. I heard that during this pandemic that we're in here, that a lot of people have actually visited the Humane Society, and I even heard that all the pets are gone there, which I guess it's a good thing, because those pets obviously need a home and they need to be rescued.
Yes.
But on the other side, I'm a little bit worried because, we're home, we got extra time on our hands, we feel lonely, so we go get a pet. But this is not just something for the duration of the pandemic. We may have this pet for another 10, 12, 15 years or longer, which is like another kid, right? So, I'm just concerned maybe that people, kind of acted, a little bit impulsive. Is that one of your worries?
I mean, partially, yes. And I think it's a good question, because we see it everywhere. We see it in the United States. We have seen it also in Europe. That, like in Holland, I know from my veterinary friends that most of the humane societies are just empty. I mean, there's a few pets left, which is huge, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a good thing, and I think that a lot of people, especially people who are single, they want to have companion. A lot of people are in the lockdown. Here, I think in America or in Florida, we're pretty lenient.
Yes.
If I see the situation in Europe, like Spain, you could not go out on the street. You have to be inside for weeks. So at that part, I can imagine, you want to have a companion. And if that's not a human being, then a pet is the substitute. My concern part is yes, it's fun for now, and it gives you an emotional bond and something to do. But once everything goes back to life, to normal life,
people go back to work, less time.
Then what happens? Because then suddenly they're back to work from 8 till 6, and the dog is all by himself, or the cat is all by himself, and becomes destructive.
Yeah,
that might be a concern. Yeah.
Well, hopefully not too many of them will be returned then, right?
I hope.
Yes. Okay. Do you see pets at your office that are abused? I assume maybe, and I don't know, that people that abuse pets may not be taking the time to take them to the vet in the first place because they are careless than the average person.
Correct.
But do you see pets that are abused in the office? And if so, what are the signs, or how do you recognize that?
So, I mean, for me, abuse, there are two types of abuse. You can have abuse where you literally kick the shit out of your dog or your cat, or
physical abuse,
just pure physical abuse,
or neglect.
But also you have neglect. And to me, there are two complete separate things, but I still put them in the same category as abuse.
Sure.
So the first one, we don't truly see unless a neighbor's like, hey, listen, I just grabbed this dog from my neighbor. This is what's going on.
So that happens.
And yeah, fortunately, it doesn't happen a lot. I think it happens a lot more than we know about, but we don't see those pets a lot because then also somebody else is afraid for repercussions of the person who is abusing the dog or the cat or whatever pet it might be. So the ones we see on a regular basis is more where it's neglect, where I'm like, listen, I'm glad you brought your pet to the vet because that's already a first step.
Yeah.
But listen, he has an open sore. He has matted hair. He has chronic ear infections. You have to do something. And then you have two kind of poor people. One is kind of like, I just don't have the funds. And that's hard because then you have to try to work with their budget, still trying to give as much care to the patient. Or you have people like, I really don't care. I just need a rabies shot because that's my compartment complex requires it. So those are the ones where I'm like, okay, listen, but now we have a problem. And I've sent people or I discuss with people, listen, if you don't treat your pet,
you report it.
You're going to have a problem with me.
Yeah.
Because I will inform animal control and they will come to your house. And yes, I've done it, not a lot of times, but I've seen it because finally you were an advocate.
Well, you're an advocate, for the 100%. Pets. I was going to use the same word right there. Yeah. Yes. What do you think, can be done to reduce animal abuse? Is there anything that can be done or we should be doing as a government or as a society?
I think as long as we have humans walking on this planet, we're going to see animal abuse. It is as old as we have pets. I always, and I had that thought back in Europe already, but I think it's hard to implement because the problem is the pet industry is a $1 billion industry. It's not just the veterinary care, but the diets, the preventatives, the toys you can buy for your pet. So there's so much money involved that now in the capitalist world, we live in, they're not gonna ban things. They just want to keep pushing it and pushing it because people can make money.
What about something like a background check? Like, they're talking about gun control and background checks. We're not going to get into that. But right now, I think anybody can walk into the humane society, maybe even have a history of abusing pets, but nobody would know, and they will buy another pet.
Yeah, I know that more and more rescues, they do a background check. They sometimes come to your house. So there are definitely organizations who take that extra step, which I think is great. I think personally, but I'm not sure if that's feasible, is let people at least, no matter what type of pet you're gonna have, go through a course. How is it to have this pet? Because I see with the type of dogs. Let's say you have a young family, you have young children, and they want to have an Australian Shepherd.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, those are herding dogs. They're very active. If you don't have the time and your kids are playing in the yard and that dog is running around nipping at the kids, that's because it's an Australian Shepherd. But if you don't know that dog, but you just buy that dog because
it's cute,
he's cute and he's beautiful, and then a year later you're frustrated and you dump him at the Humane Society because he ruins your house, because you work, you don't have time to interact with your dog. So I think that's where we have a huge problem with.
Oh no, that's a very good point. I didn't think of that, but it's like, when you become a member of a boating club, they don't want you to take a course. So you know how to ride the boat. It's kind of the same thing, right? They probably should do it with humans too before you get a baby.
That's a tender subject, but it might
the
be
human rights right there.
Yeah, we're going to have a podcast on that one.
We're going to have a podcast on that one. But it makes sense to maybe before you can adopt one, maybe a 2-4 hour course or something where, like where you become more aware of what it also takes. Because it's going to take many years that you have to take care of this pet and kind of reconsider or at least be aware what you're getting into.
100%. Right? And then also I think the cost involved. A lot of people think like, I have a dog, I give him some food, he gets some vaccines and that's it. Theoretically, absolutely.
If everything goes right.
But if you have dog A lives from day 1 till 13, your most 2 expensive periods are when he's a puppy and when he's a senior. In between, if you're lucky, it's you do your annual vaccines, you preventatives. So that's feasible. But the moment you have a puppy and that puppy falls from the stairs, breaks his leg, and you have $2,000 of orthopedic costs, a lot of people are like, I don't have that money. And I'm like, you have to take that in consideration. If you have a dog, you have to have some extra somewhere in case of an emergency.
It's another family member.
It's the same as a family member. I mean, and I think that, like pet insurance, I'm a huge advocate for pet insurance because we see most times where we have to surrender dogs is where people just don't have the money to do that unexpected.
So you recommend pet owners to have pet insurance, just like you would have health insurance for humans. Now, is that a big cost, generally speaking? I have no idea.
No, it's so pet insurance. It all depends. You can insure your pet for everything, but I always tell clients like, listen, and I'm very black and white sometimes. I'm not going to say that's good, but I'm like, if you want to own a pet, you be sure you can afford it.
Yeah.
If you cannot afford it, don't do it. It's going to be a frustrating route for yourself. It's going to be
not fair to the
not fair for the pet because he finally ends up with a different home, shelter, etc. So that's the first thing, and then you have to consider at least get pet insurance for, I call it emergency and critical care. So
the things that would cost a lot out of pocket.
Yes, where today he was good and tomorrow he's hospitalized, surgery, and he's in hospital for 3-7 days, and your bill is 2, 3, 4, 5 grand. A lot of people don't have that money, and that is very unexpected. But then pet insurance is awesome.
And how much would that on average?
I mean,
I know it's a big guess. But
yeah, a lot of pet insurance is you around $30, $40
a month. Okay.
And then they pay out 80-90% of the total bill. So if you have a bill of $2,000,
$1,600.
They pay out 80%. $1,600 they pay. You only pay $400, and that might be a saver.
Okay. No, that's a good idea. Are most pet owners not on pet insurance? I have no idea.
No, it's so that's another difference between Holland and America. Holland pet insurance is huge. When I came here to the United States, it's barely any people have.
Almost nobody has the pet insurance, and that's why they get in trouble then.
A lot of times, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can afford it, and you're like, hey, I don't mind to pay $2,000. Yes, but let's be honest. Most people, no matter where you live,
especially here,
you cannot afford it,
and then the pet ends up suffering.
Correct,
because they don't get the proper care. All right, consider pet insurance, pet owners. What in your opinion? We're just going to change gear. What in your opinion is the impact of diets on the health of our pets?
Okay, so that's a more technical question, of course. I think huge. Like it is with humans. I know that in your profession you do a lot with diet, so you know how important it is. I think it's huge. I think your cornerstone for a good health is a good diet. And I know there's a lot of diets nowadays. A lot of them are processed diets. I mean, it is what it is. A lot of them are still good diets, but you really have to be careful what you pick. And I can talk about diets a long time, so
no,
I know.
Okay. But so what are maybe the main differences between a bad and a good diet, without going into details?
Yeah. So I think the main thing is if you buy a diet, you have to take a look at what is the diet made for. So if you have a diet for all life stages, walk away from it, because a puppy has different nutrition needs than an adult or senior dog. So there is no diet who fits.
Not one size fits all approach.
Correct. So you have to buy a diet where you have a puppy, adult, senior, geriatric, because that's all tailored to the needs. Less protein, more calcium, things like that. So that is, I think, the most important thing to look for. And then you have, it's called AFCO. AFCO is an organization. They made a statement on how can you look at dog food, because a lot of dog foods, if it doesn't have an AFCO statement, that basically means you make a dog food. You and I, we're gonna put a little factory down. We make some dog
and nobody
food.
Controls what we're putting in it.
Correct. And we just, without testing, we just put it on the market.
So that's like the FDA for dog food then.
No, it's
really?
The thing is they're not really strict, but what they do is you can make a diet and just put it on the market without testing. You also can make a diet, do extensive feeding testings for weeks till months, write everything down, tweak it, etc., and then you put it on the market and say, okay, this for a puppy, this for an adult or senior dog.
So as a pet owner, you want to look for that certificate or that logo or
Correct.
something?
And then
Okay.
sometimes it's just in very small sentence written down somewhere on the back. So you sometimes have to look for, but it's AAFCO, AAFCO.
AAFCO.
Yes, yeah. And then there are different ones because you want to have an AFCO statement that it is for a certain life stage, so not just for all, and that feeding tests were done. If that's not on there or it kind of tweak a little bit, I would walk away from it.
Okay,
100%.
Well, those are two very good tips, and I assume that pet owners always can contact you to get a little bit more information, especially when they buy a pet and they really don't know, which food to choose because there's so much out there these days, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
correct.
Excellent. Would you think that people at the pet store know this information, or they don't really care?
I don't want to
Because
step on. Yeah, I don't want to step on toes.
I'm just saying, when I would go to the pet store, I would ask the person behind the counter, like, hey, I got this kind of dog and this breed, which is the best for them? Do they have that knowledge, or probably not?
So
I'm putting him on the spot now.
You put me on the spot, man. Okay, I mean,
some do, some don't would be your answer.
Yeah, no, but I'm not that type. I mean, it's
black or white.
Yeah, I'm black and white. I'm direct, and I know I sometimes step on toes, but also can take a hit. So
we have an excuse. We're from Europe.
Yes, I think as Europeans, sorry guys, we're pretty direct. No, I think that I'm always baffled if clients are in the clinic and we talk about diet all the time. And they're like, oh, in the pet store, they told me this is a really good diet. And then I have to battle with clients sometimes like, I don't think that's a good diet. And I tell them point blank, listen, with all the respect, I went to vet school for 8 years.
Yeah.
And you talk to somebody in a pet store, with all the respect, who is most of the times somewhere in his 20s, maybe got an afternoon, some lectures about diet, and now suddenly he knows it all.
Yeah.
He said, that's not apples to apples. I mean, I don't want to disrespect people in the pet store because I think they're doing a great job and they love pets and they are there for a purpose. So all the respect for them. But I don't think that they can give information, but they also, I think, should also tell clients like, listen, discuss it with your vet.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, the grain-free diets. So many pet owners in the pet store are pushed to grain-free diets. A huge mistake, in my opinion. And to me, that means that pet stores are lacking enough knowledge. Because I think a lot of times what happens, and do I have proof for it? No, but I also know a little bit the industry, how it works. They will get incentives if they buy or if they sell certain diets. So they work with the manufacturer. This is what you're going to sell.
It's about retail profit.
And it's all about retail profit. So to me, that's not good. I sell everything what I sell in the clinic. I'm 100% behind it. And if I'm even lose money on it or not make a profit compared to another product where I should make more profit on, I'm like, I don't care. I only care what is good. Like the grain-free diets, and I think that's important for everybody to know. Grain-free diets right now are linked to heart disease with dogs.
Okay.
They don't know for sure, but if you look up FDA, which is like the organization who checks everything, and dog food, you probably will see some links and some feedback. Right now, they think there's a relation between grain-free diets and heart disease with dogs, more the bigger dogs.
What was the purpose initially anyway then to design or manufacture those grain-free diets? What's the story behind it?
Marketing.
Oh, just marketing.
Yeah, because
just something else.
We had
same with humans. They always come up with a new fad diet, and they're all the same, low-calorie diets, but it needs to be a different story.
Correct. No, and I think, I mean, of course, we have the GMOs, etc., and a lot of people nowadays like, hey, my kids have a gluten and grain issue with the intestines. So what the food industry did, it's like, hey, listen, we're going to do the same thing
for the
pets.
Dogs. Yeah.
And nowadays I hear constantly like, oh, my dog is allergic for grain. I mean, if you look at food allergy, roughly 90% is all protein based. grain and gluten is maybe 1% of all your food allergy patients, but you keep hearing it in the pet store.
Sure.
It should be grain-free. So eventually, I don't blame the pet owner, but they're gonna believe it. So they buy grain-free diets, but I don't think it's a good choice.
So do most people that come to you ask those questions, or is there a time where you feel you need to talk about it because the pet presents with certain conditions?
I mean, both. We have clients. So let's say if we have our annual exam. I mean, most pets come in the clinic once a year, the seniors twice a year. But with every annual exam, we talk about diet.
Okay.
So we ask them, like, what are you feeding, how much, etc., etc. And then if we see like, oh, it's a grain-free diet, we're just gonna address it. And we tell them, like, listen, those are the concerns we have nowadays. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
We think that taurine and amino acid is an issue because that's in grain and that's lacking in those diets. But there's smoke. So there's a fire somewhere.
Yeah.
So I tell clients, like, for now, just stay away from it.
Okay. Do you believe in home cooked meals for pets?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I think that if you can home cook, if you have the time for it, and you know what you're doing, I would prefer it. There's nothing better, even for us. I mean,
sure,
you can have a microwave meal versus something
home
fresh.
Cooked, yeah, sure.
I mean, we don't have to explain which one is better, but the problem we sometimes walk into is that clients come to me and it's like, man, I home cook. And it's like, awesome, great. They said, how did you find those recipes? I say, no, I just put a few things together.
And then it's not good.
And then I'm concerned because I tell them, like, listen, I'm not a nutritionist. So if they ask me, like, okay, can you give me a recipe for home cooked diet? I tell them, no, I'm a veterinarian, but I'm not a nutritionist. So there is a website, and I think for everybody, good to know, just write it down if you want to home cook. It's called balanceit.com.
Oh, balanceit.com.
Yes.
And that's cooking for pets.
That is a website is linked, I think, to US Davis, so a veterinary university. You can download some home cooked diets. And what I like is they also will tailor, but then you have to pay a fee. If your dog has a heart condition, a kidney issue, a liver disease issue,
then they customize it for you.
They can customize those diets. I think you have to go that route. You cannot just pull something up from internet because the neighbor had a dog who lived till 15 and she did this diet. So now suddenly every dog will live till 15 based on a diet with absolutely no research.
It's gotta be customized.
That's scary.
So what I'm hearing is I can't cook my meal and feed my dog the same, because people do that too. What's your take on that?
I was told because we're not gonna stop that. So I'm kind of
they're bagging.
Yeah,
they're bagging.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of dogs are, and even cats, they are so trained. That we teach them bagging. I mean, we always reverse it, like, but he looks at me and he knows. He said, no, you give him once, so the next time he will do it again.
You're conditioning them.
Oh, they're pure conditioned. So,
but it wouldn't be a good thing to share your human food with.
No, because we put salt, all kind of ingredients in there. Our food is processed. So I tell clients, like, just don't do it. If you want to do it 10% max. Yeah. So at least, yes, pet owner, you're going to feel good, and I don't have to pull up my hair the next time they come in for a visit.
Very good. What about the importance of exercise for pets? Do we have to walk every dog, every pet?
What do you think?
Well, yeah, you know my answer.
I thought it was a rhetorical question.
It was a rhetorical question. To me, exercise, I mean, we don't have to take our pet to the gym or have him play baseball, but it's about movement, right? Because movement is oxygenation and circulation, which benefits every single cell in everybody's body, also our pets. And of course, we got certain pets that are outside and walking around all the time, like cats that go in and outside, so they probably get their exercise on their own.
Oh, yeah.
But then we have the bigger dogs that are stuck in a small apartment and the body's gone all day. And so, I'm concerned about those types of pets not getting their not only fresh air and sunlight, but their movement or exercise. And my daughters have had a dog, and now they have a second dog. And sometimes I have to pet sit. And of course, you can let them out in the yard, but they won't do much if you don't kind of play with them, right? And you have them walk them. And, the reason why I personally never had a pet is because I always feel guilty. I don't feel I have enough time. I want to do something fun in the weekend, but let's say I want to go on the boat all day, and of course you can take the pet, but let's say it's a pet you can't take on the boat. It's like I feel guilty, so I really don't want to have a pet because I want to do stuff.
Yeah.
And I still see the ideal situation for a pet, like on a farm, where the pets can come in and out and are outdoors all the time. But right now we'll see so many pets locked up in an apartment or a condo all day long.
No, it's true. And they have, and we talk about, probably 20 years ago, there was I never forget it because it was so shocking, was a study done in Holland. And they basically were trying to check, okay, how long do we truly walk our pets per day? Just do a wild guess, on average.
5 minutes around the block.
Right on
5 minutes.
I mean, that's horrible.
Yeah. It's basically we're not exercising them. We're letting them out so they don't pee or poop in the house.
It's literally the door open, go in the front yard, come back in, and we're good to go. No, and I agree with you. They need that exercise. I mean, right now what we see in America, and we see the same thing step by step in Europe as well, is that 60% of our dogs and cats are overweight.
Yeah, just like us.
Yeah, and the pets are a little bit behind in the American population, and the same shift we see also now in Europe. But yeah, it's a huge issue, and the studies they have done to find out, okay, what is the impact on being overweight to their lifespan? We shorten their lifespan with about 2 years because you're gonna have osteoarthritis, you're gonna have diabetes, you have pancreatitis, you have cardiovascular issues.
Well, our pets get the exact same diseases that we do.
100%.
Exact same. Yep. If we look at animals in the wild, I tell people all the time, animals in the wild, they don't get any disease. They either die a natural death or they get traumatized or eaten by another animal. But there is no cancer, there's no diabetes, there's no Alzheimer's. They don't have that because animals still have an instinct. So they act according to the laws of Mother Nature, especially in the wild. So they eat only healthy stuff, right? And they have sunlight and they rest and they live outdoors. So they don't get sick. But we domesticated these animals, right?
Correct.
And so we treat them the same way as we treat ourselves, unfortunately. And that's why they end up with the same exact diseases.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
We did talk about the pet insurance. Are we in America, and we kind of went over that a little bit already, but are we treating our pets here as animals or do we treat them as human beings?
Oh, as humans. I mean, if we see that more than 80% sees them as a family member, then yeah, they see them as a human being, which there's nothing wrong. I mean, I have pets and I see them as a family member. I mean, I skipped a vacation once because that money went to a surgery because we had to make that decision. And at that point, the pet comes first because it's your family member. Yeah. So I don't think there's anything wrong. I think it's a good thing because
you care.
We care. And the interestingly thing is that if we look, for instance, at cardiovascular insults like heart attacks, high blood pressure, they've done research on households without pets and households with pets. Household with pets, people have in general a lower blood pressure, less cardiovascular diseases like heart attacks. So it has almost a healing effect on pets.
It sure does. And that's why I think still our podcast here really fits in what I do is health, because we're talking about the health of the pet, but how a pet contributes to our health, our well-being, and our emotional well-being. Yeah. And I witnessed that in our own household. We got a dog, Benji. He died 2 years ago, but we basically got him when my daughters were little. So he grew up with them, right? And it's like sometimes it's hard as parents to deal with kids. There's arguments, they're upset, they're crying in their room, and they don't want to talk to you as a parent. You open the door, you let the dog in, and everything's better because the dog doesn't judge.
Correct.
And they can tell everything to the dog. And so I've witnessed that power that they have, right? A non-judgmental family member. Try to find that.
I know it's maybe a bad joke, but they always told me like, listen, put your wife and your dog in the trunk of your car, leave them there for half an hour, and come back and see who's happy. I'm going to be your wife. I mean, and that's true. It's unconditional. I mean, I can come home from a long day. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I'm just frustrated. Whatever. And
the dog's right there.
The dog is right at the door, happy as a camper, and it's almost like instantly like, you just let it go and like, hey buddy,
Yes.
and he's there. And that really, really makes a big difference. I mean, my kids are on the sofa watching TV, playing Xbox. But that
They
dog is
ignore
right.
you, but the
they
dog's
ignore
there.
me, but the dog is right there.
Yeah.
So it's 100% unconditional love.
And it goes the other way around too, because when the kids come home, they ignore us again and they pay attention to the dog.
My daughter, I mean, she's so tight with our boxer that yes, she will come home and
Dog
she will
first.
go first to the
The
dog.
kids always do.
Oh yeah.
A thing that I just came up with, because I always wondered, because the dog, when you come home, always excited. Okay. So what I was wondering, do they have any sense of time? Do they have a sense how long you've been gone, you think? I know we can't answer that, but I sometimes wonder.
Yeah.
Even it's 5 minutes you're gone, they're still excited like you were gone for the whole week.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, a lot of research right now is like, no, they don't have a true sense of time. I mean, there's a lot of things, and I want to, if I have the time, I want to put two things on the table because I thought it was very interesting. So one study they have done a long time ago was dogs who were actually in a kennel situation. And they had, I think, 3 groups. One group is the dogs were dropped off and the owner came back, let's say, a week later. The other group is they were dropped off and the owner came back twice during their stay. And then that third group, the owner came every single day.
Okay.
And at that point, what they did is every single day, they were actually checking their cortisol level, which is a stress hormone. Yeah, excitement, stress hormone. And they find out is that the dogs who didn't see their owner for the whole week actually didn't have any stress. Their stress levels were lower compared to the dog who saw the owner every single day. So at that point, it's like, in perspective to time, do they have sense of time? Maybe not. Maybe it's like, hey, if they're there, they accept it and they're happy when the owner is there and life goes on.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting,
interesting study.
interesting one. And the other interesting thing is that because we never know, our dogs, do they feel, believe, sense more than we truly think, or is everything just based on conditioning? And there was a neurologist in Georgia. He taught his dog to lay still in an MRI machine without sedation. And what he did is that he had all kind of pictures. He showed normally his patients to see which part of the brains actually were flaring up. And he did that with his dog. And he was surprised at the similarity in the areas who were just active based on the pictures he showed compared to his.
So there could be a lot more activity and intelligence going on that we even think.
I mean, possible. And of course, it was one dog, one study. So
yes, sure.
It's not double-blind, statistically proven, but it's a thought.
Yeah. I mean, they also always say that dogs have that sixth sense. And I experienced that in this house too, because my daughter and the dog were up in their room. And sometimes weird stuff happens in this house. I'm not going to talk about ghosts. I don't even know if I believe in them, but there has been happening some weird stuff. And so my daughter freaked out because I wasn't home and called her mother. And she ran out and the dog did not want to come out of the room. The dog was afraid. He was shaking and didn't want to move and it was looking up. And so again, it's something that we witnessed or experienced. So what do you think about that sixth sense? Also, when it was the previous dog, when people come in the house, when it's a bad person, they start growling and they behave differently than when it's somebody, that's a good person. And then it turns out later that person actually was a bad person.
Correct. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I go a lot if a dog is not comfortable with a person.
It's a red flag.
To me, and of course you don't want to put like 100% emphasis on it, like, oh, my dog doesn't like you, because sometimes it's like with humans, sometimes it's just not a good mix. But I believe in that, and I have actually pet owners who tell me, like, listen, we only have friends with pets because we don't believe in friends who don't have pets. Because it's a certain type of people.
That's interesting.
I don't want to go that far myself, but some people strongly believe in that. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. What are the most common reasons, besides the regular yearly follow-ups, that people come to your office?
Florida, allergies, man.
Allergies, the dog's allergies.
Yeah. It's allergies. I bet $1,000.
So that's why we always see the cones.
Yeah, part of it. Sometimes after surgery, but also for allergies when they have a hot spot. But yeah, we see every single day allergies.
I didn't
ear
even
issues, licking their paws, hot spots, just pyoderma, like a skin infection.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean,
well, our first dog Benji and then this dog Domino, they both had a lot of skin issues, and so yes, they always have to be on a medicine, of course, probably a cortisone or something. But yeah, the cone, they just bite themselves and it becomes raw and bleeding. So then they have to get the cone on. But it seems like once they get that, it seems like there's no permanent solution. It's something you have to deal with ongoingly.
If you have environmental allergies, if you have environmental allergies, which is the groups are more the grasses, pollen from trees and weeds. And then you have a ton of other things, but that's your top 3.
And you can't really prevent those.
At that class, listen, the moment you open up a door, the moment you walk your dog outside, it's there.
What about, could it be another pet in the house? Could it be something they eat in their food?
Yeah. I mean, if you...
Or is that less likely?
If you have 100 dogs, then roughly 85%, and they all have allergies, 85% has environmental allergies, 15% has food allergies. So food allergies are less common than people think. They definitely exist, but the majority, it's all
I get it. And so for those 15% food allergies, is that something you can test for? Is it a process of elimination? Or
it's basically a process of elimination. So there are tests for food allergies, but the general consensus is they are not reliable.
So you just try something else.
I know that certain vets still do them. I don't know why, because I tell clients, like, if they come to me with a whole report, oh, my dog is tested for food allergies, like, to me, that's not reliable, unfortunately. Yeah. You have to try with diets what is doable for your dog.
Okay. My youngest daughter, she volunteered at your office last summer.
Yeah.
She had quite some stories. We're not going to share those here publicly. There were some funny ones. Because she had to learn and observe, and certain things happen. But she had a great experience for sure, and she did witness a lot of procedures too. And she also said that you actually like to do the actual procedures. So obviously it's to help the animal, but at the same time, what's so great about doing the procedures, and what are the most common procedures you perform?
Yeah, I mean So there's a few questions. So yeah, surgery is that's my niche. I love it. Why? I don't know. I love to work with my hands.
Well, it's art, right?
Because sometimes it's never standard. I mean, of course, you got your spay, your neuter. Those are your standard surgeries. But then you also have sometimes an exploratory surgery. It's like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen.
Let's go look.
Or you have your mass removal, and it's so big that you have to make a skin flap, and so you have to be creative. I like that part. I mean, I'm not a person. I don't like doing every day the same. I like my challenge. I like to be creative.
So what is your position on declawing cats, cropping ears, and tail docking with dogs? What is your position?
We don't do them.
We don't do them.
No. The moment when I started my clinic, Pet Street, in 2009, right away from the get-go, I made a disclaimer. Listen, you don't have to come to my clinic for a declaw, a tail dock, or ear crop.
Now, the declaw I understand, because an ex-girlfriend of mine was a cat, right? And cats, even if they're home cats, they squeeze out, they go out. I believe a cat is an outdoor pet too. They want to roam out there. Very curious, they want to do stuff. So if you put them out there without claws, they cannot defend themselves.
Yeah. Now, and the thing is, and I definitely want to make a statement on that one, is that, and I'm not sure if you can zoom in the camera, but because it's such a misconception. So, and I just make a few lines on my fingers. Hopefully it's a non-erase.
No eraser for you.
Yeah.
So you can get closer to the camera and show them like that.
So right now you see those little lines on my fingers.
It's below the nail bed you draw them.
So because a lot of people think like, okay, with declaw we remove the nail. Now with declaw you remove the nail in the last part
Oh,
your finger.
really?
So you move a whole bone. So
I didn't know that.
It's a huge painful procedure. Like in Europe, it's
And why
not
do
done.
they do that? So it doesn't regrow?
Yeah, because
Okay.
if you just remove the nail only, it might regrow.
It grows. So they cut a piece of their fingertips off.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of clients don't know. They think, "Oh, remove the nail." No, you
Well,
literally
I never would know.
you amputate, you cut them off, and I've seen
That would affect their balance and their gait and stuff too, no?
Yes, and there's issues right now. They see it also with the bigger felines in like zoos and circuses where it starts to regrow, and they opened up a lot of those cats who were declawed, and it's just a chronic, purulent inflammation. Those pets are painful. They limping. I've seen when I came to America, because I've never have done a declaw, and I saw a declaw being done. And I saw how the cat woke up. It's disgusting. And
Now, is this common here?
Yeah, but there's an organization who
That's
right now
fighting
is fighting it, and they're a lot more in California, and they're right now in other states trying to ban the declaw. I'm a huge fan of them, and I 100% promote it because I'm so against declaw.
And what's the purpose then? Is because you may get scratched? Is that the only reason?
A lot of people do it because
Or furniture and stuff.
yeah, cats scratches furniture. But I'm like, listen, then don't take a cat.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, yes, and you can teach a cat. I mean, I always tell clients like, listen, you can, as a kitten, you can teach them to use a scratching post and try.
Oh yeah, those big posts.
Big, sometimes a piece of fabric. So, but you have to find it out. They have those little caps, those soft paws you can put over. So they still can scratch,
And
but they
still
don't.
better than amputating them.
Yes, but the amputating is like, yeah, just don't do it. It's
What about
cruel.
What about cropping the ears?
So the reason why I don't do ear cropping and tail docking is that if you look at communication between dogs, like the non-verbal, 80% is ears and tail. So what we do because of breed standards and things like that, like, oh, the Dobie has to be with cropped ears because that's the breed, or the little Yorkie, we just cut off the tail. It's because that's the breed we want to create.
That's the image we want to create.
Yes, it has nothing to do with this is better for the dog or whatever.
It's worse. It has to do with communication between the pets.
Yeah. So we take away communication, and then we're baffled that some dogs are interacting. It's like, oh, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
I mean, if my dog has a tail, I see exactly how his tail is acting. Like, is he worried? Is he becoming more dominant? It's even for us as pet owners, it's a great tool to communicate with your dog.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Well, I mean, this was very interesting so far. And again, I'm kind of excited too, because my youngest daughter, who actually volunteered with you last summer, she always, just like you, from early on, she never changed the mind, wanted to be a vet. So she graduated from the IB program at Spruce Creek. She was accepted at USF at the honors program of biology.
Yeah.
So this summer she will be heading to Tampa, where your son is.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Correct.
And they know each other. So that's good to have some friends there.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that. Would you have any advice for her, even though she's not listening?
Yeah, they never listen to us. But, no, I think because some people ask me like, man, you're a vet, and that's tough, and it's a long study. It's difficult. I always tell clients like, man, if you work hard, because you don't have to be smart, in my opinion, to become a veterinarian, but you have to work hard. Don't procrastinate. Do your things. And your heart has to be there.
As long as you're passionate about what you're doing, you won't fail.
Correct. If you don't have passion, don't become a vet, because you will burn out very fast. Yeah, because it's a tough profession. Because we have your euthanasia, you have your irate customers who are upset for whatever reason. Then you have dogs who will bite the hell out of you. I mean, there's a lot of things where it's not just cuddling. Yeah. I still love it, even when we have those moments where it's like, damn. But yeah, if you don't have that passion, just don't do it, and don't expect.
Because you do have to. I mean, I didn't even realize you do have to put down a lot of animals.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot, but you have to put them down. Yeah. But it also has to be a justified reason, and I'm glad that we can do it, so we prevent further suffering.
Yeah.
But that's tough, because some of those dogs, I mean, you know them from puppy till you finally put them down. You know the client, and that's emotional. That hits absolutely.
Why do people love their animals so much or their pets so much?
Phew. I think what we were mentioned before, the unconditional love. I mean, there's no such a thing as
you can't get that from even the best person in your life. Right?
No, even your best buddy. Sometimes you might have a little bit of this, even when that's part of a friendship. I think, but your pet, he's always there. I mean, he gives you so much love, and you cannot pay that out in any form of monetary value.
I agree that was a great closing statement. Now, Willem, where can the name of your clinic is Pet Street?
Correct.
Where is it? Here in Ormond Beach, right?
Yeah, it's on the 240 South Nova Road. It's brand new facility.
Yeah, you just moved there.
Yes, yeah, we moved there 2 years ago. So it's right next to Dunkin' Donuts. Looks like if you say that, everybody knows. But we have 3 vets on board. We open up from Monday to Friday, long hours from 8 till 8. And that's basically to help people, because you come home at 5, 6 o'clock and then your cat
for the working people,
blood everywhere, or your dog vomited. And instead of going to the emergency clinic, we still have the ability to see him here at our clinics. And we open the weekends as well, both Saturdays and Sunday. Same thing, because everything happens in the evening or in the weekend. Yeah. And that's what we have.
Pet Street. What do you have, a website or a phone number?
We have a website, very simple, www.petstreet.us. And the phone number is 386-265-4444.
So you see, we have a veterinarian local that is obviously, his heart is in the right place. So if you have questions about diet, all the stuff and things, feel free to reach out, right?
Yeah, no,
because we're here to help the pets. Thank you very much for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure.
This was different.
Yeah.
but very nice. And I learned a lot, actually. So thanks, everybody, for watching. And choose health freedom. So let's